Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone, and here we are. It's been a minute since we grabbed the asset, Paul Nicholson. Paul, busy times in the darting world, busy time for you. First of all, before we get into it, how are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I had a little bit of time off in August and I didn't really know what to do with myself actually in the 2 weeks that I had off. So actually quite glad to get back here and be calling this stuff in. It's been a really exciting week.
The PDC World Series is in full swing at the moment. Michael Van Gerwen and Johnny Clayton winning two events out of the three so far. First of all, what have you made of the World Series returning to Australia and New Zealand for the first time in nearly 3 years?
You can tell the crowds have been waiting a long time for this. I know those Aussie fans have been clinging on to these events with real passion over the years, and when we went to Perth 7-8 years ago, the reaction from the fans when they finally got big time darts on the stage in front of them, it was extraordinary. And it was as if it had never been in Australia before because of the pandemic situation and things being delayed. It was as if it was the first time again, but a lot of those fans are very well versed in it, and Australia was a growth area in this sport. It's given us some great players, and it's a place that I believe we should be having more events in.
On that, I want to touch on your piece you did for the Sporting Life, because it was a really, really good piece about the World Series. Maybe it's almost served its purpose in its current form. Is that what you were trying to get across, that maybe it needs to evolve and develop even more now?
We always need to evolve. I think that's the message that the Hearns have told us over the years. And Matt Porter and the PDC have done such an amazing job at trying to evolve different aspects of the calendar, whether it's outside of the 128 tour card holders with the development tour, the women's game, or within the PDC elite system. But I think with the World Series now, it has been going for quite a few years. I think what we want to see is a gradual evolution with the Euro Tour and a gradual evolution with the World Series to just try and branch out just a little bit more. I think you do need Germany as a heavyweight on the Euro Tour, but I think we need to start looking towards Scandinavia and towards Eastern Europe, because they are growth areas. You see what the Czech Republic's doing with their young kids coming through. That's a growth area that we need to massage, but worldwide, the World Series needs to do the same. I think we need to start having ranking action outside of Europe. That's the next step for me.
That's a tough one to coordinate, and that's not going to happen overnight, is it? Because of the expense and everything involved in taking a mass amount of not just players but staff and equipment and everything, maybe 10 hours on a plane. How would you like to see that managed then? Because it's a huge operation.
We need to have help from the affiliates, PDC Europe, CDC, DPA and the Asian Tour. These guys need to step up and say, if we're going to have ranking action, we need infrastructure, we need staff that can be trusted, and people to get the word out to make sure that enough players are going to be present. I suppose the biggest issue with this is that not every tour card holder will travel to, say, Manila for an Asian event. They won't travel to Melbourne or Sydney for an Australian event, or even New Zealand, or even North America, even though that's not that far away. So how do you fill the spots for a tournament involving 128 players? We may have to go backwards in the respect of filling spots with people without tour cards who haven't gone to Q school, but ultimately that would give the opportunity to the elite guys in the Premier League who are doing a lot of darts to maybe take a break, and it would allow some people who are chasing ranking points to travel to different parts of the world to try and catch people up. But it would give people the option to do that. It's a very fine thing that we've got going on here with non-tour card holders and card holders, so it's a tricky situation to solve, but I still think that ranking action outside of Europe is needed.
With the tour card situation, although it's been brilliant, but restricting it to those 128, did that maybe hinder the growth in a way as well?
I'm not sure about that. I remember days when we used to have UK Open qualifiers and there were 250, 300 people, and it was carnage. You'd get there at 9 in the morning, you wouldn't leave until maybe 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I think 128 is a perfect number. You know you're going to start at 12, you know you're going to be done by 6:30 at the very latest. It's a very manageable day. And we've got a culture now with the players where they expect to be there at 10, registered by 10, they've got a couple hours practice. We've almost honed them, and I say we, it's not really me actually, it's the PDC. They've honed these guys into animals that will perform for a 7-hour period at their level. But the guys on the Challenge Tour are having to do it for a lot longer. The development tours are having to do it for a lot longer. But I think at the minute the system is fine. But I think, was it Barry Hearn that said if you're standing still, you're going backwards?
Yeah.
And the PDC's not standing still at the minute, but they're always looking forward and they're always wanting to evolve in some capacity.
MVG, last time we spoke was pre-operation and we didn't know how he was going to come back. What a statement he's made winning the Premier League, the match play, which not many people thought he could do that close to surgery and a World Series event. Has he even surprised you?
Yeah, I think even Michael would admit that he's surprised himself. I think maybe the biggest start for Michael's season was Joe Cullen's miss at double 16, just giving him that one extra visit to take the double 14 and win the Premier League. The way he let go of that emotion when he won that Premier League in Berlin, I think he just could tell that a lot of weight came off his shoulders. I was so happy for him because as a world number one throughout a whole generation for about 7 years, he was carrying that weight for a very long time. And then if you look at Phil Taylor, when he eventually wasn't world champion, he actually said out loud, "Oh, Adrian can carry the weight now for a year, so I can have a bit of a break from it." Michael's had that break from the world number one spot and, you know, constantly being the favourite for tournaments, but he's ready to get that back now, and I admire that. And the fact that he's got the Premier League, the match play, and a World Series event in the bank in consecutive turns, I think everybody's got to watch out.
It's quite a spicy little rivalry he's got going on with Gary and Price as well. That you can see they both enjoy it. There's a lot of mutual respect there, but they're also bringing the best out of each other. As perhaps that's something Michael's missed over the years as well. Because looking back, I think he was at his best when he had Phil as a rival. He was chasing Barney's records. He had Gary for a couple of years as well, but there's been no one really in that gap in between. People have come and gone, but this is something he can perhaps sink his teeth into.
I think we can't forget about Peter Wright, though. I mean, I would say that would be one of the biggest rivalries in the history of the sport for me, because of the sheer amount of times they've played each other, and they've played in 2 World Finals. But Michael is the kind of dart player that does need a muse, someone who's going to hit him back to make him into the green machine that makes him the best player that he can be. If that's to be Gerwyn Price at the minute, or Peter Wright, or somebody else, he will seek out these rivalries just to massage his own elite level. And if it's Gerwyn Price right now, then we should be happy about that.
The Women's World Match Play, I know it's something that you were massively looking forward to.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're there in the venue on it. Have you had time to digest it and take it all in, and what's been the feedback from like you, and how did you think it all went, and moments to improve and everything like that?
I think for a first tournament, it was spot on. I think it was a surprise that Eileen de Graaf beat Lisa Ashton. You could see how much it meant to Lisa just to play on that stage, being very local, and I think she's got redemption on her mind for next year already. But I was happy for Fallon. But the one thing I'm going to take from that more than anything else, and I'm going a bit off topic here, was Fallon trying to lift the trophy because it was so heavy for her. I actually wanted to go on the stage and give her a hand, but I'm really pleased for Fallon because she, like Michael van Gerwen, has shouldered a lot of pressure over the last few years, and now she has got some pictures just to say to all the haters, look what I've won. And there's been a lot made about the fact she hasn't won a world title, but for her to win that very first Women's World Match Play, that's something that can't be taken away from her. She deserves a lot of credit for that.
The Grand Slam criteria and everything's been announced as well. Were you surprised that there was no invites for anyone else? It's literally been kept in-house for the PDC. Did that surprise you a little bit?
Not at all. I think when Barneveld won the tournament and asked for it to be ranked, the days of WDF players and people from around the world, that was numbered. Simple as that. If you're going to have a ranking event, your players have got to be people who are going to take advantage of ranking points. I know there's a lot of people who thought that maybe Neil Duff or maybe Tibor Tricol deserved an invite, but they don't have tour cards, and let's face it, there'd be nowhere near PDC action this year, apart from Tibor, who's been an alternate at some events. It wouldn't have benefited the tournament, in my opinion. The days of BDO or WDF versus PDC at the Grand Slam are gone. If we're going to have that kind of event, we'll do it somewhere else. But the Grand Slam is now a ranked event, so I think the PDC have got a spot on.
Just touching on what you said there, so in its current form, don't see it happening. The invites going out to other organisations again for the current Grand Slam.
The only way I see invites going out are to PDC affiliates, like the CDC, DPA, Asian Tour, because they've got one, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to entice people. Now, I made my debut in the Grand Slam, thankfully, from an invite to the DPA, so I'm not going to scoff at something like that happening. But I just don't think it's going to be outside of a PDC affiliate in any way, shape or form.
Plenty of other action coming up. Obviously, the World Series finals coming up, the conclusion of the Euro Tour into the European Championships. It's exciting times to be a player, and now's the time where people have already started mentioning it. They've got one eye on that Muswell Hill already. I know the eye roll there, but they're the ones that saying it. It's like, I want to do well here, here, and here to go get ready for Ali Pali. Are you surprised that they're already looking at the World Championships or not?
No, not at all. Johnny Clayton's already mentioned it, and he only won in Wollongong a matter of a few hours ago. But it just goes to show what everybody wants. Everybody wants to lift that Sid Waddell Trophy, don't they? They want to be part of that event. It's so much bigger than everything else. For me, it makes the Premier League look small. It makes the match play look smaller than it ever has. I think the commercial appeal of the World Championship has never been bigger. And even I, standing here in the middle of August, I'm looking forward to the winter. It's the best part of the year. The match play is great, and I love being a pundit for TalkSport 2 doing it, but there's something extra special about Christmas and being part of that event. For me, it's the highlight of the season for many different reasons. And there's a lot of people who want to be there. There's a lot of people who want to be there for many different reasons. But I think there are more people this year who want to be there to try and win it than ever before. It's a very open tournament.
Last one before we let you go, because we know you've got to go and do a cross. Last time we spoke, you said you were going to come and have a play in this very league.
Yep.
Has practice started yet? Have you managed to have a chuck and started going yet? And how has that gone? So I know you were going to tinker with some stuff and work out that before the serious practice started.
Yeah, I've done a bit of work in early August. I've had to change my grip again, which is awful, because I didn't have enough stability with the previous grip, and it's something that I used to try and take pressure off my wrist. What I can say is that the grip I want to use from now on is the original grip from when I first turned pro. But going back to that after a period of seasons without it, it feels a bit alien, but I'm spending time on this board before I do a shift. And if I do get time at home, I'm doing that as well. I believe that when I visit Winmau at the end of September, a couple of tweaks will be made, but I know I've got the right flights, I know I've got the right stems, I know I've got the right punt. I just need to make maybe one tiny little tweak with the barrel to make sure I'm ready, and then it's just a matter of hours.
Okay, pleasure as always, mate. Thanks for joining us on Nine Darts, mate.
My pleasure.